I'm an Aries, bro. I'm an Aries. And Aries are some moody sons of bitches. We are prone to depression at any given day or time. Mood swings like a motherfucker. I'm an Aries, bro. When I hit low, it is like lower than any low you could ever imagine. And when I'm high, it's a higher than high that you can ever imagine. That is the chemical makeup of an Aries, man.
I don't think that's the chemical makeup of an Aries. I think that's called bipolar disorder.
No, it's called being an Aries. Bipolar disorder is like you don't recognize that you have the highs and the lows.
I think someone with bipolar can recognize that they're in a manic state.
Okay, I didn't say manic. I just said a lower than low. I'm not manic.
Sure. Okay.
Now I'm manic.
Do you actually believe in astrology? Is that what it is, astrology?
It is astrology, and to a certain extent I believe in astrology, and only because I studied it and human behaviors in school, and there is a correlation between astrology and then there is a biblical take on astrology and when your birth date is and things like that, and then they tie the astrology into behavioral habits, human behaviors can be like put into 7 different categories, and you have a lead behavior and you have a follow behavior where, you know, like a secondary behavior. And when you can recognize those behaviors in somebody, there are scientific methods on how to deal and to communicate with some of those behaviors. Like, I use it all the time on my kid, and my kid has gotten so smart to it. He literally looks up at me and he will say, "Pops, are you psychologying me right now?" Because I know when he was born, I know his personality, and I can put him in one of those 7 boxes, and then I can lean on some of my education on how to communicate with him to get him to see what I'm trying to tell him to do. Because there are some people that you can't come straight out and say things to. Sometimes you have to beat around the bush and allow them to create the own equation in their own mind and solve it themselves. Then you have another segment of people that need it plainly put out in front of them. You write the equation, you give them the solution. And then there's some people where they have to have a part of the equation from one aspect, part of the equation from another aspect, a solution from a third aspect, and then a secondary solution from a fourth aspect. There's people out there that's their type of personality trait. It all comes down, and the astrological signs are tied into that human behavior thought process and how you deal with other people.
I often think astrology is a bunch of bogus stuff. Like a lot of times it's just putting descriptors that can basically apply to anyone. But I think there is something to be said about like when you're born, and I don't think it has to do with the stars. I almost feel like it's more about the seasons, and like if you're like the difference between being brought up when it's the middle of winter versus, you know, the middle of summer might have some effect on how someone is raised. But
yeah, you have to factor all that in when you're looking at human behavior. You have to dig into like where they were raised, how they were raised, what the environment was like. And anyone that goes and sees a psychologist or sees some type of mental health professional, you will learn that it's not so much about what they have to tell you, it's about what you have to tell them.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
Then they take what you tell them and they apply a teached science to it, and sometimes that science is helpful, and other times that science needs to be reworked.
Yeah, that's true. Like I've seen a counselor a couple times, and
me too. I am a counselor, and I've seen a counselor. And everybody that if you ever meet a psychologist that says they don't need a psychologist, run for the hills.
Yeah, I was raised by a counselor, so we used to say when we were younger, like my dad would come up to us and like we would say he tried to shrink us.
Yeah, that's what my kid says.
You'd start like acting like a shrink, and it's like, stop shrinking us, Dad.
Yeah,
we don't need that right now.
My kid says the same thing. Are you trying to psychology me?
Yeah, but yeah, it's true. Like I've been to a counselor before, and like a lot of the times it's more just like you trying to find within yourself what to say than it is them like digging or prying or anything. Yeah. Sometimes you'll just sit there like in silence where they're just like, what do you want to talk about? This is you, like, you know?
Well, when that's happening, they're reading body language, they're reading eye contact, they're reading your eyes, they're reading your facial expressions. A good psychologist knows how to allow the effectiveness of quietness. There is a science to allowing something to fester in the air versus filling, like we do here on this show, filling the dead space. There's actually can be healing in a dead space.
Well, how about we fill that dead space and start the show?
How about you fill this dead space? 5, 6, 7, 8.
What is up, boyos? Welcome to the Jake and Cory podcast. I'm Jake. That is Cory. What's up, Cory?
I'm really old. I have a bottle of emergency gummies on my desk, and not just one, but a second bottle of emergency gummies.
Yeah, that's wild because last week you showed me some other shit that you had to take too.
Yeah, another bottle of Centrum Silver.
That's what it was. Yeah, Centrum.
For adults 50 plus.
Oh.
Also a bottle of Drano.
Metamucil. Same difference, you know.
Same thing, different day.
Same difference.
Oh.
I wanted to talk about Discord, sort of. Well, like the Discord partnership. It makes me think of Twitch, right? And Twitch has some very serious drama going on right now. I don't know if you've heard of.
I've heard a little bit of it from some Twitch streamers, but I've got some Twitch bitch that I want to get off my chest too. So maybe we'll get a chance to get to that today.
Some twitching, as they say.
Yeah, I got some twitching.
Twitching. The big thing is, you know, and we've talked about it a little bit before with the DMCA takedowns and everyone's content getting pulled, creators frantically deleting shit off of their sites so they don't get their Twitch channel banned. Even me, dude, I streamed for 12 hours the other day, accidentally played a commercial on YouTube and like got a little notification saying I played copyrighted shit. And I'm like, I didn't mean to. It was like 2 seconds of a YouTube commercial.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's been the big hotness. But then the even bigger news to come out of the DMCA stuff is that now they're trying to pass legislation that you could potentially get a fine and jail time for playing copyrighted music while live streaming.
What?
Yeah, that's a real bill that's being attempted to pass. I don't think it will pass because that's just fucking ridiculous. Like, especially for someone like me who accidentally played a fucking YouTube ad. Like, I didn't even mean to. Like, I was... I didn't even mean to have the audio playing. Imagine just, you know, playing a video game and say my phone has a ringtone that is a song and that plays during my stream, and then the feds are coming through my window. Hey, you're done, son.
It'll pass. Follow the money. How many of these people that are behind the DMCA have already purchased their politicians? There's a lot of
Yeah,
money in the
that's-
music industry, bro. So they most likely have bought their politicians. They've set themselves up because of these record labels are greedy. I can understand if DNC was more for the benefit of the artist. It's not.
No, it's not.
No, it doesn't benefit the artist. It benefits these abusive record labels.
Yeah. No, because honestly, most artists would be happy to have their music playing over top of Ninja or whatever. That's just free advertisement for their music, really.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Yeah, I don't understand why copyright has been such a big deal for as long as it has. You know, the fact that like you have to pay $1 gazillion to have a Rolling Stones song in your movie. Even that to me seems like pretty fucking backwards. Like, because like think of it this way, like Pepsi Cola has to pay you to put them in their movie. But then if you want to use someone's song, like, I don't know, it just seems like that's potential marketing for your music. I don't know. Maybe my thought process is backwards. I get it if like you're on YouTube, right? You're on YouTube and someone literally just posts the song and like that's it. It's just the song. But they're trying to get clicks from the song.
Whatever
like,
happened what happened? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I think you're about to say what I was about to say.
What happened to fair use? You know, like transformative. If it's transformative, it should be fine, right?
What happened to the whole notion of if you are using someone's song for money, if you're claiming that song is yours or you can benefit from that song financially, I thought that was the argument. So if you're a lonely streamer, then I guess it could count, because if you're a lonely streamer or not a lonely streamer, a successful streamer, you have affiliate, you can get subscribers, you can make money off of it. If that song pops up in there, then yeah, I can understand, because that by proxy is you making money off of utilizing that song, because then they can argue in court that if it wasn't for the utilization of this song, you wouldn't have gotten the subscribers that you got. But with that being the case, it fucks over the small guy that doesn't have affiliate, that doesn't have a large following. And if he plays one of those songs, he's punished too.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest issue is like what you said. The only people that benefit from this are the big record labels, not the artists.
No,
because the only way artists make money these days is by touring, right?
Yeah.
And you would think that
Concerts.
they'd want their music as, out there as possible. So then, obviously right now there is no concerts, but when concerts come back, you think you want your music out there as much as possible, so then people hear your music and are like, I want to go to that concert.
Right.
The big one I think about, this may go over your head, but there's that show Rick and Morty, and there's this song
right over my head.
There's this song. You probably know what Rick and Morty is, but there's a scene in Rick and Morty that plays at the end of this scene. This song has blown up because of that. So who really benefited more, Rick and Morty or that song?
Right.
Although I'm sure Rick and Morty is the one that paid $1 gazillion. Well, probably not that much for this small indie song, but still had to pay for the rights to use that song. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of weird and backwards. And then Spotify is a whole other thing. I don't know. The music industry is fucked. They're trying to catch up. They can't. And
it's an abusive industry. Because these and I know for a fact, for my show to utilize the music that we have, it's an astronomical yearly royalty fee that we have to pay. We're restricted from using any of the newer music, even though the newer music doesn't really fit into the flow and format of my show, Fat Guy Radio. So we're left with like music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and some 90s. If I touched anything from Beyonce, I'm in violation of my
even 90s Beyonce.
Not even 90s Beyonce. You can't. She is restricted. The Beatles restricted. So it's like, and it's not for the benefit of the artist, because, dude, if you ask
Paul McCartney's not seeing any of that. Yeah.
If you ask any artist, I have many friends or many people that I know that are musicians. The one thing that they want is the exposure. They want play it in the background. Do whatever you want, but YouTube was the leader, the protagonist of this DMCA bullshit. YouTube
now
was
they seem like heroes.
Well, YouTube is the leader because YouTube was the first ones to put their balls in the purse of the DMCA and get shit scared and starting to limit everybody, starting to flag every damn video on the planet. And they can do, and they don't care. They don't understand that this has a long-term benefits. No one's making a living off of YouTube. And if they are making a living off of YouTube, they're not utilizing someone else's music. They're most likely having somebody create it themselves. It's going to come to a point where nobody is going to want to touch anything that has that little C with a circle around it. And what's going to happen is that there's going to be a lot of content that is going to go undiscovered. Because if it's not on the radio, which only 7% of musicians are even on the radio when you factor in the entire music industry. No, there's going to be a lot of content that is going to go unheard because people are going to get shit scared on being sued in federal court over utilize. It used to be 15 seconds of a song, 20 seconds of a song was okay. And then you can't even do that now. Like you said, Jake, your phone has a ringtone on it that you paid for, by the way, that the record label already got their little 7 cents from. You paid for that, and if it goes off while you're streaming, you get the ding. You've already paid for it. The record label has made their money off of you.
Yeah. I've got a few thoughts, piggybacking off of what you said. I think it'd be really cool if one of these record labels was like, here is a full playlist of songs that we just don't give a shit if you play. Like, here it is. That's the thing, is like, they don't make anything available. It'd be really cool of the label to just be like, here's a fucking Spotify playlist of big hit songs that you can use in your fucking streams and do whatever you want with. We don't care. It makes me think of Radiohead, right? Radiohead released an album, I think it was like in 2009, like way ahead of the curve. And what they did was, instead of charging people for the album, because no one buys music anymore, right?
Right.
This was at the time of like, Napster, and well, it was post Napster, but like, it was around that time when everyone was just pirating music and stuff. So artists weren't making money, labels weren't making money. So what Radiohead did was, hey, we're going to release our album for free, but if you want to pay us, you can select however much you want to pay for the album. So when you go to purchase the album, it's like, how much do you want to pay for it? Almost like a Patreon sort of deal. And like, that's a genius way to do it, I think. And then they ended up selling millions of albums, obviously.
Right, because they're going to have those diehead radio heads that are going to, normally they would have been more than happy to pay $19.99, but since they have the option of picking,
they probably paid $100.
They're going to say, you know what, I fucking love Radiohead, man. $99.99. I want to be a big supporter.
Yeah, exactly. And then, then they got more ears on it too, because then they're like, it's also free. So then everyone went in and also got it for free. This was pre-Spotify and shit.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's that. But then what I wonder is, I feel like people are just going to stop using labels. I really hope that's the case.
Well, wasn't it Pitbull? Is that his name? The artist Pitbull that
Mr. Worldwide?
Yeah, that isn't part of a label at all. Where he's just
really?
like, He built his own brand. Nick West, friend of Fat Guy Radio Show. Nick West is the same way. She's not signed to a label. She owns and distributes all of her own music. And she's made a great living doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way that the industry is going to go, and the record labels are starting to see that, so they're panicking and trying to protect every penny that they possibly can.
Yeah, Toby Fox, right? He created a game called Undertale, and he also wrote the soundtrack, an amazing soundtrack. The dude made this game by himself, ended up winning Game of the Year. It's a fucking amazing game. An amazing soundtrack. And what he did was like, hey, if you want to use my music in your game or in your streams or whatever and just play it underneath whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just go ahead. And that song became like internet famous because he was just like, fuck it, go ahead and play it. And it rules.
I think they're gonna the artists are the ones that are gonna have to save the day. The artists are the ones that are going to have to save the day, and they're going to have to find ways to, screw over the record labels. And once that happens,
hard, though.
It's hard because the record labels have bought all the radio stations and have bought all of the distribution avenues. You know what I mean? So it's difficult.
It's hard just because, like, as an artist, if like Warner Brothers or whoever, Sony comes to you. They're like, hey, we're going to offer you a contract. We're going to pay for your full album and, do it all that way. And then you end up making no fucking money off of this, they give you $100,000 to make an album, but then you end up actually losing money because you have to like pay that back. But like, it's hard to turn that $100,000 down,
when you're a struggling artist.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and then you see the and I bet you the way they sell it is really flashy. I bet you they put, I bet you they paint the most perfect, beautiful picture. You know what I mean? It harkens back to
they buy you Big Macs and sprinkle gold on top of them.
Yeah, and I would eat a gold Big Mac.
Yeah, me too, dude. Yeah, it reminds me of the time. I'm sure you remember back when Lars Ulrich, Lars Ulrich, the drummer of Metallica, he kind of went to war with Napster back in the early 2000s.
I recall something of that nature.
But yeah, he went to war with them, and to me, looking back at that in hindsight, I'm sure he'd disagree with me, but I think he took the wrong approach. Instead of fucking suing Napster, how about you just use the model that Napster has set up, which is what we're doing now with Spotify and stuff.
Yeah,
the problem isn't that Napster exists. The problem is that nothing to counter Napster existed. So then, yeah, of course everyone's going to use Napster. It's not because they didn't want to pay you for your CDs. It's because Napster was just so fucking convenient. And ultimately, iTunes came around and sort of fixed that issue, and Spotify has really come around and fixed that issue. But then Spotify is a real issue because Spotify doesn't pay the artists; they pay the labels, and then the labels pocket all that money. And and it just goes back to labels. It's horrible.
It's an abusive situation. I mean, in the music industry and in the TV industry, we saw what just happened with Dave Chappelle and Netflix and HBO Max wanting to re-air the Chappelle show and not pay Dave Chappelle for his work. And it was an abusive type of situation in a way, but again, you have a big studio. You have a big studio that owns the Chappelle show and all that content. And yes, Dave Chappelle wrote and signed a contract that allowed them to have that type of power back when a time where he really wasn't paying attention. Again, it leads to the fact on how these things are being presented to them. I could present you, Jake, with a contract and give you my word of mouth and paint a completely different picture of what the contract is. Every contract has some dark notes in it. And a skilled salesman knows how to skirt some of those dark notes. And if you're caught up in the excitement, you're caught up in the anticipation of what the future has to hold for you, the fame that is going to be put upon you, your mind is focusing on the reward finally coming for all of your hard work. You're not focused so much on those dark moments. And then when you get sort of down the line, you realize, wait a minute, but you've already signed your life away because they sell it to you in a certain way. It's an abusive environment. Music industry is abusive. TV industry is abusive. And movie industry is abusive too if you're caught with your mask off during Tom Cruise's scene on Mission Impossible 7.
I saw that. Good for Tom. Although, did you hear the audio? Did you hear the audio from that?
I played the audio on Fat Guy Radio Show. Absolutely.
Here's my problem with that audio. Tom Cruise yelling at his whoever it was. It's fake, dude. It's fake. It's got to be fake.
I don't care if it's fake. It's something that I've been wanting to rant like that for people that I've been around the last 3 weeks. So whether it's fake or not, you know what? I'm hoping that it at least gives people the balls to go the fuck off on people that are violating COVID protocols so this motherfucking thing can go away. I think it should, if it's fake or not, I don't care. Now it should give people a license to stand up and fucking rant on dumb motherfuckers that aren't following COVID protocol. Fake or not, I don't care.
My thoughts on Chappelle, though, just to bring it back there for a second.
Sure, Jake.
It's really bizarre to me because that was like Chappelle's show is already on Hulu. Chappelle's show, if he likes it or not, it's a Comedy Central show. Like they own the rights.
He signed them away. He signed it away. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like he signed it away for nothing. He signed it away for $30 million. You know, it's not like the dude didn't make any money off of that contract. He absolutely did. The only reason he was able to get it pulled off of Netflix, because it was already on Hulu, the only reason he got it pulled off of Netflix is because he has that contract with Netflix, and Netflix wants to proceed and do more stuff with Chappelle in the future. And they find their future business with Chappelle more important than the Chappelle show, which, fair enough. But as Dave Chappelle, like, you're not going to get the rights back. Don't you just want that to be seen? And to me, it almost feels like he doesn't. He doesn't want people to watch the Chappelle show. Maybe it's dated, makes him look bad. I don't know. I love the Chappelle show, but like the whole reason he left the show is because he didn't really like where it was headed. And people were interpreting the jokes wrong. So to me, there's more to that story than just like Chappelle got fucked over, you know?
Well, I don't think it was a situation. I don't see it as a situation of him being fucked over. I think it was a point of, what's the word that I'm looking for? I mean, it was just the way that it was being, the way that product was being moved around and how it had been moved around. Morally, for the benefit of, you know, just the fact that the contract wasn't all in the up and up and totally in the favor. Yes, Chappelle may have made $30 million off of that show, but if the contract was written a little fairer, maybe he would have made $100 million off of that show. Look at what other shows around that time, what some of those artists were making. You know what I mean? And of course, yeah, you could throw in a whole lot of other aspects as to why the contract wasn't written the way that it was. And we can argue contracts all day. But I mean, HBO, and I'm paraphrasing here, they pulled it out of respect. Right. They didn't pull it because of contract arguments. They pulled it out of just, I think, just out of overall respect for Dave Chappelle.
Well, yeah, I think it, and it's not it's a money thing though too, because it's like this could potentially be future business for Chappelle and HBO.
And it was going to make HBO millions and millions of dollars. And when they're making, hand over fist hundreds of millions of dollars, and Dave Chappelle walked away with 30 million 10 years ago. You know what I mean? It kind of seems a little.
It's debatable on whether or not it would make that much money, but like, I think their thought process is maybe us doing this could potentially get us a contract with current Dave Chappelle, and they could make some sort of fucking HBO show with him.
Yeah. If
If not an HBO special. Netflix probably had the same thought process.
But
Hulu doesn't give a shit because they don't really want to work. I'm sure Disney doesn't want to work with fucking Dave Chappelle anyway. So
no, they don't. And to bring it full circle, it's just another example of these abusive control mechanisms that are used by these studios and these record labels. And unfortunately, it affects the artist at the end of the day, and that trickles down to the effects of the market that are you and I and our pockets. So instead of these record labels trying to find new ways to get us to get the market to move in their favor financially, it feels like they're taking a more aggressive stance in trying to hinder the market from utilizing or moving any of the old money. They're not focusing on new money. They're focusing on protecting their old money. That's a wrong way of doing business. And that right there has got MySpace written all over it. It's going to fail no matter what Justin Timberlake tries.
That's what I was saying about Lars Ulrich, like instead of fighting against Napster legally, why not make an alternative to Napster?
Yeah, find a way around them. Like Facebook did with MySpace.
Or work with Napster. Be like, okay, you guys made something. Let's figure something out then. I don't know. There's just so many ways that it could handle and benefit everyone.
True.
But like, that's not the way they want it to work. They want it to just benefit them.
But look at it this way.
It's the big guys.
You're sitting at home. You're playing a video game. Let's take it back to your Twitch. Okay?
Yeah.
You're a Twitcher. And you have your video games that you paid for, right? You have a Spotify account that you're probably paying for. You're paying the Spotify premium.
True.
Okay? So you turn your you flip the old Spotify premium on while you're twitching, playing the game that you also paid for. You've paid. So why are you getting challenged for shit that you paid for?
Yeah, and this is their tricky shit, because video games do the same thing where they say, you're not paying for the rights to the video game. You're paying, you don't actually own the video game that you buy. You paid for the rights for you to play it, and that's it. And honestly, modern video games like Steam, it's all download, right? It's all online. If that game went away off of the internet, it's gone forever. They don't have to reimburse you at all because you didn't pay for the game. You paid for the license. You paid to use the license.
Right.
And that is the same thing with the music, where they're arguing that you didn't pay for the music. You didn't pay to the rights of the music. You paid to use the license to listen to the music. And
but they don't understand how that business model works. Dude, I would have never, ever sought out Among Us. But because I was looking for cute people on Twitch to watch play, and a cute person was playing Among Us, I got into Among Us, which then turned into me actually paying for me to have a copy of Among Us, which then there's a domino effect of someone having the ability to share someone else's thing. Now, if I was watching a Twitcher a good looking Twitcher, and they were saying, yes, I developed this game Among Us and you should go download it and play it from my website, and they're trying to bootleg it and claim it as their own, then I think that that's a violation. It's the same thing with music, dude. I was watching Twitch the other day, and I was watching Dean So Cool's Twitch feed. He was playing Among Us and he was playing with another Twitcher, Harambe. And Dean stopped down.
Good name.
Dean stopped down during he was dead and they were doing a vote. He had deafened Discord and he brought over SoundCloud and played Harambe, another Twitcher played Harambe's track and showed it to everybody on Twitch. That was last night. I've been rocking out to Harambe on SoundCloud all day today. I would have never known that if Dean So Cool didn't play it on his Twitch feed. Now, he's not going to get hit with DMCA because Harambe is just, he's not signed to a label or anything. There's no label involved. But I said that because that's the evolution of sharing.
That's the future of music too.
Yeah, don't put me in the DMCA and all these laws that they're trying to pass is going to put everybody in a box. No one's going to be able to share things anymore because they're going to be afraid to.
Yeah, what terrifies me though when it comes to Twitch, recently Google announced, or they actually launched a new streaming video game service where you can like stream the game to your phone and play it on your phone or whatever. And it's called Google Stadia. And one of the heads at Google Stadia said, Twitch streamers are lucky that we allow them to use our video games to play on Twitch. And that statement terrified me for the future of like what Twitch is, because he's right. Legally, these video game companies don't have to allow you to play their video games online and stream it and stuff. Legally, they could DMCA strike you if they wanted to. They choose not to because there's like an unwritten rule with video games, like, hey, play our game. But that is a thing, like Grand Theft Auto, right? Grand Theft Auto in the game, it has an amazing soundtrack, but you can't listen to the soundtrack if you're streaming the game, because you'll get DMCA striked for playing whatever music is in the game. New game Cyberpunk just came out. Same thing. They actually have a streamer setting that you can select. So if you plan on streaming the game, it takes out all copyrighted music and stuff. But like, it's true. Like, these big companies could decide one day, like Ubisoft, EA, they could decide, well, we don't want you to play our games online anymore because that could be bad marketing for us. Could be a terrorist playing our game or whatever, or a racist or whatever it is.
That would be the stupidest thing that they could ever possibly do. Because, dude, I'm telling you this right now, for a guy that's not an avid gamer, if it wasn't for somebody streaming Twitch, and if it wasn't for this damn pandemic, I would have never even Twitched. And I would have never ever been exposed to Among Us. Never. None of that would have happened if the developer would say you can't stream. Half of these games are only dude, Among Us is not a new game. Right. You told me this. Among Us came out in 2008, but it was until a Twitch or
that, but yeah.
When did they come out?
It's like 2016, 2017
okay,
or something.
2016. Nevertheless,
4 years ago,
it didn't grow in popularity until somebody did what? They streamed it. So it would be dumb. It would be literally cutting off your nose to spite your face.
My fear, though, Cory, is that we'll still get games like Among Us, because there will always be these game companies. Like, Among Us was made by 4 people, and like they own the game.
Yeah, and they're getting raked over the coals right now too.
Really? Why?
Yeah, people are pissed off at them because they're like, they keep pushing back their new map release and everything else, and everybody's getting all,
they're working on it.
Everybody's all excited about the game, and the game is growing in popularity, but then it's also starting to lose a little bit of its steam too, and the game players on Twitch are kind of saying, and then also Cyberpunk or whatever the fuck that thing is called came out, and that's the new hot chick on the Twitch right now. And that's
but it's a fucking broken mess. But
that's what a whole lot of the Twitchers are out there playing, and then all the little young biddies want to see how it's played, so they go to Twitch to see somebody else play it, and some of the Twitchers are now saying that, you know, they're seeing a lot of their audience wean off when they're playing Among Us, but then their audience joins up and their numbers go up when they're playing Cyberpunk, you know?
Yeah. My fear, though, is that we'll still get games like Among Us and you know, smaller games like Fall Guys is another one that was big on Twitch for a while. But my fear is that the bigger companies that, who knows, like you know, like a FIFA or a Madden, you know, like the sports games, or, you know, Call of Duty, you know, a lot of people like streaming those games, but there is an argument to be made there that, like, how much does this streaming market actually affect the sales of a game like Madden? It probably doesn't much.
No.
It does for a game like Among Us, and that's probably why they'd forever be like cool with it. But my fear is that the bigger companies like Ubisoft, who makes like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, they may just be like, well, it poses no benefit to us to allow you to stream our game, and you're just making money off of our game, and fuck you. It's my fear because we've seen this before with a very famous video game company called Nintendo, which fuck Nintendo.
Hey!
Nintendo was known for being the only company that you could not play their game on YouTube for the longest time. You couldn't play Mario, you couldn't play anything. They would strike you immediately. If you played their music, they'd strike you. If you did anything with Nintendo, they would strike you. And they've really kind of calmed down, and I think a lot of that has to do with the failure of the Wii U. I know I'm getting very video game nerdy again this week, but I think it has to do with the failure of the Wii U, and they kind of needed the free marketing. But we've seen it with Nintendo already, and we're starting to see it again with Nintendo. Nintendo recently just struck down a Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament that was meant to be played online. They took it down off of line. They sent a cease and desist order. So now the hashtag free Melee is going around. And then also a Splatoon tournament was meant to take place, and they struck that down too, because in the Splatoon tournament title, they used hashtag free Melee. So they're like, no, fuck you. You're not using our title because it makes us look bad. So that's it. It's really, and I'm sure Twitch is freaking out too, like the company Twitch, because this doesn't benefit them at all. They're like, fuck, we would love to just have you be able to stream whatever you want, but they're worried about getting lawsuits and stuff. So
because all of those lawsuits that came up against YouTube years ago, and YouTube folded, and YouTube put their balls in the pocket of something else, and it's the streaming has gotten so astronomically huge, and the pandemic just exasperated it because everybody's home. They've got to figure out a different business model across the board, not just with music, not just with video games, streaming as a whole. And I'm tired of paying thousands of dollars a year to play 90s music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and still getting struck by YouTube.
And still getting struck by YouTube. If I have to send my fucking certificate to YouTube one more time. And now I don't even stream to YouTube. And the YouTube bots, YouTube can suck a bag of dicks. And I know this show is on YouTube, but I don't care. YouTube can suck a bag of dicks at this point. Because, dude, I've sent them my fucking certificate that we pay for my company lots of money so that I could play music, and they still ding us. We can't even play 5 seconds of Baby Shark, and they fucking strike us.
Yeah, I did a reaction video to the Game Awards, which happened a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it got struck down by YouTube, which reaction videos should be totally covered by fair use because it's a reaction and it's completely transformative. But no, YouTube doesn't care. But it's really a bot by YouTube, and they're and the reason they do that, I understand why YouTube does it.
Because they're scared.
There's no way they're scared, and there's no way for them to police millions and millions of videos that are posted daily. So they have to create some sort of bot that has to like sense it for them. I've seen people get striked for posting their own music on YouTube.
Yep.
It's insane.
Dude, there was a viral video that happened where the two little girls were at a birthday party. It was a 3-year-old's birthday party. And it went viral. The video went viral because the little girl's sister or some other little girl that was there, a 5-year-old or whatever, was there when the birthday girl leaned in to blow out the candles. The little baby Karen leaned in and blew the candles out for her. That video went viral because then the little baby whomped all over little baby Karen's face. Just snatched her up, pulling her hair and crying and everything else. This video was all over YouTube, on major news networks, and also every little small little blog, every post. It was all over YouTube. I opened my show with it, streamed it on YouTube. Not only did we get a content strike for promoting child endangerment, they shut our stream down, killed the stream in the first 5 minutes of my show. So I disputed it. And in my dispute to YouTube, I sent them 47 links on YouTube that had the same motherfucking video in it. Some of the links just had nothing but that video. Where the fuck you think I got the video from for me to talk about it on my show? I got it from YouTube. They still said it's a violation of our child safety guidelines. Take it down because a kid got in a fight with another kid. The show to this day, that particular episode is not on YouTube. They put it down, and now every time we log into our business YouTube account, we see it right up there. The strike against the show. The strike against the profile. And if I get another strike against the profile, I'm off. They're done suspended for a week. I was re-airing the same video that every freaking news outlet was airing. Every other popular YouTuber was airing. Every other non-popular YouTuber was airing. And I gave them more than enough reasonable proof that it had nothing to do with my show promoting promoting a child being in danger. We were making fun of the fact that a little baby girl, 3-year-old, whomped up on some 5-year-old baby Karen's ass because it was a funny video. And we got dinged for it. And that episode till this day is not on our YouTube page. They're
crazy.
Scared shitless. They can suck every last inch of my ass.
Yeah, I have the same sort of issue. I haven't gotten a strike on the channel, thank God, but I get copyrighted and like demonetized on. I do a movie review type show with my sister where we cover rom-coms and stuff, which go check out those shows if you're listening. But we do this show and I edit in some clips of the movie, so then there's some context to what we're talking about and stuff. And what I do to make sure it's fair and fine is I try to use clips from the commercials and, like promotional material, which should be fine. It's promotional material, right? It's used for promotion. So I'll use the promotional material in my videos. And I got striked for my last video. The first video I didn't get striked because they were 90s movies and, I guess no one really cares, but we covered some newer movies in the more recent episode, and yeah, it got demonetized for showing 5-10 seconds of a commercial.
They're scared. They're scared.
It's ridiculous.
So now we have not to get too technically nerdy, we now have a control mechanism in place where our music and our audio isn't even routed to our live stream feed anymore. We took them out. Dude, we have a YouTube has it where when you have a business YouTube, you have this option where you turn on if you have a paid advertisement, a paid sponsorship on your content.
Right.
We do. We turn that on and we still get dinged for airing a commercial for a company that is part of us, that we have an agreement to utilize. They send us this material to air on our show, and we can't because YouTube dings us for it. Tired of sending that contract too. YouTube can suck it. It's like a big, fat, veiny one.
Yeah, YouTube sucks, and really, they're just terrified. I get it.
They're scared shitless. You know what? I bet you there's somebody at Google right now that is probably saying this was the worst thing we could have ever bought. Why the hell did we buy YouTube?
Yeah, for real. Google is.
They got to be kicking themselves over that, and Bing is probably.
They can't get rid of it either because they're like
no. And while we're on the websites, hey Bing.com. What the hell? Who did you piss off over at Pornhub where I can't access any more Pornhub videos on your platform? What the fuck happened there? Fix that shit. Every time I go through Bing and go through their videos and I search something stupid, like hot Twitch streamers, and I pull up a video and it's connected to the Pornhub website, it says not available in your country. This is the United States of America. Everything available.
I know why. Why? Can I tell you why?
Please, I want to fix it. I want to get back my 2 women and 1 horse video.
So this was actually big news last week. Pornhub deleted millions of videos on Pornhub.
Oh, for the people that weren't verified?
Yeah, everyone who's not verified, their videos got deleted. And the reason they got deleted is because more and more videos were being exposed, like child pornography, abuse videos, entrapment videos kept getting posted on YouTube. And it got to the point where Visa and MasterCard both backed out of Pornhub and said, you cannot use our services anymore because there's too much bad stuff on here.
The only thing I like to watch on Pornhub was the unverified smut. That's the one thing that's gone. That's the only thing I wanted to watch.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, I thought it was copyright stuff too. I was like, oh, it must be because Pornhub keeps allowing people to post copyrighted porn videos or whatever. But no, it's not. It has to do with child pornography,
dude,
and child abuse. And
when you search a random, let's just say you go to Bing, you go to the videos after you put your browser in incognito. You go to Bing, you go to videos, and let's say that you put something in there like hair pulling and screaming, and it just brings up all videos online that are hair pulled and screaming. Now, yeah. I will say that when I'm scrolling through those lists of videos, there are some videos that you see that populate that just ain't right. Don't click on those videos. And they're always tied to some weird ass website like tnxx.ru or something weird like that. I don't go to those. I look for X video. I look for RedTube. I'm professional. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We all know that rule. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like when you're searching for before the coronavirus, when you used to pick up a prostitute on the street, you never got the real pretty one because the real pretty one was a cop. You go for the one that's right down the middle, but then you also don't go for the crackhead sitting on the corner biting on air when you're looking for a prostitute. Unless you only got $5-6, then you might want to bounce with her. But nevertheless, when I go to Bing and I go to videos and I put up, hair pulling and screaming, I do see videos that are on platforms that are populating there that are just not above board. That would easily, if I clicked on it and watched it, would easily get some men in some suits with white shirts and black ties knocking on the old front door of Casa La Blaze because I watched this video. I can see that. It's out there. But I can tell you this, I ain't never seen it populate on the hub of the porn. I've never seen it on the
Well,
hub of the porn. Maybe because I'm
the
not
problem-
looking for it, but
Right.
I think it's just like with the damn record labels. Pornhub panicked. They panicked and they hit the panic button and they deleted all the videos that I want to see.
I kind of feel like they made the right call though, because like I don't know what else
you
they
got to
could
get
have
rid of
done.
the child shit. You know what I mean? That's just
Yeah.
ridiculous and crazy, and the entrapment stuff and stuff like that. You want to get rid of that as well too. You know what I'm saying? There's things that you got to do.
Because Pornhub's model is kind of the same as YouTube, where you can create your own channel and post whatever you want.
Yeah.
But that gets really dicey when sex is involved, and sex work.
But I don't
have no
like
problem
the
with sex work.
professional stuff, Jake. I don't want the professional stuff. I want the
Right,
amateur
yeah.
smut.
Well, there's still some confirmed amateur stuff on there, so that's good.
Thank you, Jake, for
but-
taking a sensible approach to this.
Yeah, but like, it gets really complicated when there's sex work involved, and it's just like, how do you navigate it? How do you make sure it's safe? It's so hard. I mean, Hollywood has a hard time with it, just shooting sex scenes to the point where like you rarely see like a fully nude sex scene these days in movies.
America has a problem with sex in general. America has a problem because we're so fucking shielded.
Well, that's different. That's a totally different thing.
No, it's tied into the same thing. It's tied together. Our inability to be loose and allow people to express themselves the way that if the actor decided that they're going to do it, they should be allowed to do it. No other country doesn't have a problem with that. On daytime television in the UK, you see booby snatching Winkledanker.
Well, yeah, that's not the issue. That I agree. Like, censorship in America is really wild. The fact that we can watch Batman, break someone's skull into a million pieces and the movie's rated PG-13, but then, if there's one titty, then it's rated R. I agree with that. Don't get me wrong. The problem I'm talking about is more the behind the scenes stuff, not so much what's being shown and the censorship of it. I'm talking more like, how do you make sure you have a safe work environment for a up-and-coming actress who maybe doesn't even want to do the scene but agreed to do the scene because of the power dynamic, and then when you get into porn, oh god, who knows what's going on? How do you make sure this is all safe for everyone involved? How do you make sure things don't go too far? How do you I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, Pornhub doesn't either.
We're asking the wrong question is what we're doing. We're worried about shit happening behind the scenes and stuff like that, so we hit the panic button. We ain't worried about what's happening behind the scenes at the Burger King or the McDonald's and people walking around and dropping meat on the floor and picking it up and serving it to people. We ain't worried about that kind of shit, but we're worried of whether or not some chick is going to take a big dick too hard to the ass. Come on, man.
Well,
we have our priorities
they're
fucking backwards in this place.
There are rules, though. There are safety
there's rules for
inspections
everything, but there's no. But we make the rules to the point where you can't even do what the rules are there to protect.
Yeah, but there are like inspections. You see it on a restaurant. The big A.
I can print those things up. My damn personal kitchen has an A rating from the Maricopa County Health Inspection
Damn
Department.
it, Cory.
Fucking shit. We have regulated the regulations that were built to regulate the regulations.
Not for sex work.
We making regulations on top of regulations on top of regulations. Pretty soon, we ain't gonna be able to do nothing but be those fat people in that Disney movie with the little robot box. Or whatever that damn thing was. We're just going to be fat slobs just laying around, not being able to do anything. Technology is going to have to do everything. We're not going to be able to stream anything, even though we're not going to be able to see anybody in person because the fucking virus is never going to go away because you guys can't wear a fucking mask. We're just going to be islands of people until the aliens finally decide to make themselves known on CBS this morning, and then when they appear to be coming in peace, they're really just planning on putting shivs through all of our necks, and then human race will be over and we can be done with the regulating of the regulation of the regulators.
That's the weirdest rant I've ever heard.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah, it was fantastic. You're just
I just want Pornhub on Bing.
I got you. Like,
Thank you,
yeah,
Jake.
I agree. It sucks. There's a lot of great videos that are now deleted, and you know that it does suck for like a lot of creators who weren't verified yet, but put themselves out there trying to become verified,
And
and
they had
ended
some
up
good
like
stuff. I mean, some good, beautiful stuff, man. I mean, that's art, Jake. That's just art.
Yeah,
That's just
well,
straight up
there were
art.
some people that were like, you know, they were unverified, and now their videos are deleted, and that totally sucks. But you know, I think the safety of children is more important.
Oh, safety of children is always paramount, but we need to find a balance.
Yeah, certainly there is a balance, but I don't know what that balance is, and that's why I'm saying like it gets so confusing and hard to manage when it comes to sex work. You know, Pornhub is different than YouTube because YouTube it's not sex work. It's not that.
We need to get this pandemic done and over with so I can go back to having people come into my living room and perform these things that I want to see. What?
I agree. Thank 100%.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Hey, one last thing before we end the show here. I wanted to bring this up. You know, we were heavy on politics during the election. Seems like we slowed down a little bit, but I wanted to talk about politics for just a sec. First things first, Pfizer vaccine finally happening. I have a few family members who have now received the Pfizer vaccine. A couple of nurse cousins that I have, and a couple caregiver friends that I know who have gotten the Pfizer vaccine.
Yes.
Feels like we're finally getting to the beginning of the end, but emphasis on beginning there. We still have a long road ahead of us.
Long road ahead, folks.
It feels like it's happening.
It is the beginning of the end, and I share in that sentiment.
Yeah. So a couple things though. First thing I really wanted to talk about this. One of Trump's former heads and former ally, I would say, Chris Christie. Okay. Chris Christie has recently just been coming out on every sort of talk show, Fox News, CNN, all of them, and basically saying, you know, Trump is full of shit. Trump lost the election. Trump is wrong about coronavirus. I was wrong about coronavirus. He's saying that himself. And you know, it's interesting. He wasn't able to say this stuff until he caught the coronavirus himself and ended up in the ICU. And it's just really shitty that it had to get to the point that this man ended up in the ICU for him to finally understand the importance of taking coronavirus seriously and wearing masks. The other thing with Chris Christie is I wonder how much of this is actually genuine, and how much of it is he's seeing that Trump lost the election and he's trying to save face. So then when he tries to get back into the office and shit, he doesn't look like a complete idiot. Because right now, he almost seems like some sort of Republican savior, when in reality, he was a fucking dingbat just like the rest of them. And should we forgive him just because now he's saying the right things? So I'm a little torn on all of that.
I think it's the latter because I
is.
think he's trying to save his ass right now and trying to distance himself, not only just distancing himself, trying to literally burn the bridge between him and Trump, because he knows that once Trump is out of office, the state that Chris Christie resides in and that he politicked in, the state of New York, is coming for Trump, and they're most likely going to take down everyone that's tied to him. In the process, they got to take down all the little people before they get to the big one. And a federal judge just approved the lawsuit against Trump and his family. So you don't think for a minute that that's the stuff that they're going to uncover about Trump is not going to trickle down to people that were his yes members. And so Chris Christie most likely is trying to sever his ass right now, trying to save his ass from the time that he was kissing ass. I think this is just Chris Christie playing Chris Christie. Chris Christie is a fucking puppet. His strings are pulled by whoever is going to make him look the best. And right now he knows that Trump is no longer going to be the shining star, especially with New York waiting in the wings for this Trump show to end. Once this Trump show is over, New York is coming for his ass. There is a black woman in New York, the attorney general, that is waiting for that motherfucker to be dethroned, and they're coming for him. And a federal court just approved for them to do so. So Chris Christie is saving his ass. Fat fucker got the corona. Where? At a Trump event. He's just trying to save his ass. I was a Chris Christie fan at one time until he started playing the trumpet. When he started playing the trumpet, I was out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? He got a second chance with Corona. Ask Herman Cain. He didn't get a second chance. He didn't get a chance to distance himself. Fuck you, Chris.
Yeah, I wonder what Herman Cain would be saying right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, Chris Christie ran for president multiple times now, and I wonder if he's planning to do that again.
Chris Christie ain't ran nowhere in his entire life. He was up for presidency. That fat motherfucker ain't ran nobody, and I can say that because I'm fat.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Chris Christie, it's a weird thing because I do think it's a good thing that he's, he is someone that the Trump supporters, looked to, and him coming out and saying these things as a former Trump supporter, I do think is like a good thing in the grand scheme if these Trump supporters can look at him and be like, well, I guess if Chris Christie is saying it,
well, I think it's a good thing for the Republican Party that someone that's very prevalent in the Republican Party is speaking up against or separating themselves from Trump. You have to realize that this has now come down to a four-party system in a way. You have your Republicans, you have your Democrats, you have your independents, and you have your Trump supporters. And because I believe that, and I've said this before, there is a stark difference between a Republican and a Trump supporter. Huge difference between those two teams, because a Trump supporter is live and die by the almighty orange one. A Republican is, okay, this is our president. We elected him. He's no longer in there. We now need to find some way to work with the incoming administration. Those are the Republicans. I think there's a big difference between the two. Chris Christie is playing the game, which is the way he's always done his political career. He'll never be president. There's never any hopes for him ever being president. And whoever gives him a platform, that's what he's going to say. He's fat. He almost died. He looked God in the eyes. He may have realized his wrongdoing, but he's taken that moment of his wrongdoing and using it to benefit who? Chris Christie.
True. Yeah. I will update it, though. I will say I do think it is a four-party system now. I think it's Republicans, Trumpers, liberals, and people like Bernie Sanders and AOC. Because I don't think liberals and people like Bernie Sanders, so like liberals like Nancy Pelosi, and then there's people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, where these people are constantly butting heads these days. We're seeing it now with... They're talking about the new stimulus package that they want to do. And Nancy Pelosi is out here saying, well, maybe we could do $600 and for the American people. And people like AOC and Bernie Sanders are like, what the fuck? What happened to the $2,000? Even Joe Biden was like, yeah, $2,000. But now it's turned into $600, maybe $900 for the American people. And it's just ridiculous, man. It's been 7 months since we got the $1,000 or whatever, and you're telling me that $600 is going to be enough to help these people who lost their jobs and haven't been able to pay their rent? They have their rent on back pay. You think $600 is going to save these people?
It's not going to do anything.
Not to mention the people who got the $1,000 at first and were still working, so they didn't think much of it, and then have since lost their job. And really, they didn't see the $1,000 in the grand scheme of things because they probably spent it because they're like, I have a job. Now they don't have a job, and they've been struggling for the past 5 months or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just really upsetting because, like you were saying with the long-term goal versus the short-term goals earlier in the show. The same thing is happening politically with how to handle the stimulus. Because in the short term, spending $1,000 a month seems like a lot of money. But in the long term, I think it could benefit this country greatly. If you look at places like Canada, who's been giving $2,000 a month since the pandemic started, their economy has been doing better because people could stay home. So the pandemic hasn't been as bad. People had money to stimulate the economy. People had money to pay their rents. Homelessness isn't as bad. And they're only seeing their second spike when we're currently seeing our fourth or fifth spike at this point.
Yeah.
If we spent more money in the short term, we would have saved more money in the long term, because now we're about to spend another $900 for the American people, but our economy in the long run is going to take a massive hit that won't recover for the foreseeable future. This is something I've been thinking about a lot, and it's just really, really shitty.
And $600 or even $900 for someone in middle America may be something. But you throw $900 at someone in New York. You throw $600 to $900 at someone in California. You throw $600 to $900 at someone
even in Arizona.
It doesn't.
Even in Arizona,
nothing.
That's not enough to pay the rent.
Not even
in Arizona.
A studio apartment with utilities included starts at $975 in this state. In this city, they're in $600 to $900 ain't nothing but Taco Bell drive-through money. And I'm going to tell you why this is a problem for Nancy Pelosi and all the little cronies up there in Washington. There is one element that separates them from the rest of America. They have jobs. That's the problem. If them motherfuckers were sitting at home not being able to pay their bills, $600, they'd be like, wait a minute, I just farted $600 in that beauty supply, that beauty shop that I got my hair washed in when I didn't have a mask on. I dropped $600 for that. If they didn't have jobs, if they were walking in our shoes, they would most likely have a little bit more sensitivity to it. But the problem is they're not. And a lot of those people in Washington have never done it. They've lived a privileged life from inception. When their mother and father was pumping and sweating on their 14,000 thread count sheets, when they were creating the politicians that are in office now, they were born with not silver spoons in their mouth. They were born with gold spoons in their mouth. They don't know what it's like to struggle. They don't have any idea what it's like. They don't know. So they can't comprehend what $600 or $900 or even $1,200 is going to do for anybody. Nothing. Dick all nothing.
Yeah, maybe back in the 1970s
when they were all born.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, when they were in college, 1970. Everybody in Washington, I think the average age of a Washington politician is what, 7,000 years old? When they came over on the Magna Carta or whatever the hell that boat was called.
That's why I love people like AOC, who's young. She got backlash from her political friends for being a bartender during college. And she's like, no, that just means that I actually lived the lower class experience. Like, I had to work at a fucking bar while I was in college. And everyone's like, yeah, you're right. And she's actually growing quite a following. But a lot of people are arguing right now that people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are, they're saying that they should hold up Nancy Pelosi and say, like, we will not revote Nancy Pelosi back in unless she puts Medicare for all up. I don't know if that's the right move, though.
Is there any right move right now in Washington?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
The only right move that needs to take place right now is Trump shit being moved into the nearest U-Haul and taken down to Mar-a-Lago, Florida, wherever the fuck he wants to go. Or they should just move him right into Rikers Island. I don't care.
Did you hear Trump is like talking about not leaving unless he's forced out?
That would be fun.
You heard this?
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
And he's also talking about doing a rally on the day of Biden's inauguration.
Yeah, because it's all about TV ratings.
Yeah, just wild. Well, you know what's going to be great TV ratings? When Trump is dragged out on his knees by the Secret Service on the day that Joe Biden moves in.
That's going to be that. I hope he doesn't. I hope he does put up a fight and doesn't want to leave. That'd be great.
Be hilarious.
Where's Pence? Where's Pence and his fly? Where are those two guys at? Where have they been? They've been pretty haven't heard much about them, you know what I mean? Go back on your go play golf. You got a few weeks left in your tenure. Go play golf. Get a spray tan. Do whatever you want. Fire more people. We don't care. They're all going to be fired in a couple of weeks anyway. So firing somebody at this point, Attorney General Barr or whatever the hell his title is, he doesn't give a fuck. He's going to get let go in a couple of weeks anyway. Letting anybody go right now out of the Trump administration is like, it's just giving them an early vacation because they all know, you know what I mean? But I am happy about Pete Buttigieg being tapped on the shoulder by old Biden. I love that little pointy nose, little monk, whatever the hell name I was looking. I like that kid. I don't know why, but I just like him. His husband's ugly as a tree full of owls, but I like Buttigieg or Pete.
Here's a fun thing about
Petey Buttigieg.
Here's a fun thing about Pete Buttigieg. His middle name is Paul. Pete Paul Buttigieg, which means his name is Pee-pee Butt.
Man, you can, and he's in good shape. I'm sure you could bounce a quarter off of that Buttigieg. Oh, Pete and your sharp nose. Get your nose out that pencil sharpener. Your nose is sharp enough.
Well, this has been another installment of the Jake and Cory podcast.
Wasn't it worth it, folks? Wasn't it worth it?
I thought it was a good time. Make sure you check us out every Monday. Make sure you check out the Loner Gamecast every Tuesday. Make sure you check out my streams, twitch.tv/lonercast.
Huh?
Yeah, I stream on Twitch. Twitch.tv/lonercast.
Don't be playing none of that music. They gonna put you in Twitch jail.
I'll try not to. Make sure you check out Fat Guy Radio Show on everything that exists. And make sure you check out the Rom-Com Show that posts. Also, Nick is going to be posting some stuff on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
5, 6, 7, 8.